All right, I think we're live here. You guys gonna have to let me know how the audio is here. We got a lot of people in the chat.
Woo! Love it. You all better have rated Baxter here.
Yeah, so let's see if I can pull my viewer count up where I can see it here. I got that little thing on my built-in YouTube. I'm not ignoring anybody. There it goes. It's not gonna work tonight. But hey, guys. Welcome to Baitman Live. If you've never joined, I appreciate you joining, especially if you come from Debos Channel. My internet may goof up from time to time, so Debo may shrink in and out, because that happens like, I don't know, every time I've been streaming with people lately. And, I've noticed Debo and some other guys are using a different platform to stream, and that I'm going to be swapping to. Wow, we had someone say the audio is good for both, so golf clap. That usually does not happen. But
is that usually an issue?
Yes, me and audio do not mix. So, Darius King says, let's talk evergreen shower blows. Darius, if we're going to do the Topwater show, I'm going to talk about that bait. Before we get started here, first off, I was watching Debo stream, and if you guys don't watch Debo stuff, you need to. He has some of the best unboxings on YouTube. He has great reel reviews. In fact, I got one here I want to show him, get his thoughts on. And, he's got a very professional stream. I want to talk about a few things he talked about that I actually really agree on. That's kind of YouTube related. But he's in Iowa, not far from Pella, Iowa, which I work for Pella Windows, so kind of crazy. And
small world, dude.
Just to let y'all know, he did say he's kind of feeling under the weather. So if he falls asleep, either I'm that boring or the medication is really kicked in.
No, man, I'm good. I got a new beverage here, so I am ready to roll. I did take a Benadryl before, dude. My allergies have just been kicking my butt.
Dude, so here in Kentucky, man, the high was 70 today. It's almost June. It's just crazy what we've been going through, but. I got to give a couple shout-outs real quick. 6 Cents Fishing has dropped some new hats. Baitman Jr. is rocking the Boat Flips Only hat. It's helped designed by Captain Ron Fishing. And then I got the Netman hat, which I consider myself a really good netman. So I wear this as like a badge of honor.
Those hats are sweet.
Yeah. As I always say, when you fish buddy tournaments, it's 50-50. So you can be really good at the net, and dude, the netman wins some tournaments sometimes, I'm telling you. Oh, got a couple people, first timers. Kenyatta Bush, good to have you in from McDonough, Georgia. I know where that's at, man. So if you're new, do me a favor, smash the like button, share it over wherever. If not, no big deal. We're just going to talk some baits tonight. But another thing from 6 Cents Fishing, I got, I put this on IG, and this one is fresh. This is a slow slink model. This is the new swim bait called the Trace. And they put the hook separate. So this is the Trace. I'll hold it down here for Debo so he can see in the streaming camera.
Yeah, dude, that looks sweet. I seen you testing it in the pool.
Yeah, the sewer pool. Yeah. Yeah, I just took the cover off, so don't judge me.
I was waiting for the turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to crawl.
So last year, I didn't cover it, and I drained it. Well, I ordered a liner. It didn't show up for a bit, and dude, it became a breeding ground for tree frogs. There was like hundreds of them. And what's really cool, and I learned about those frogs, is when they stick to the side of the pool, they'll turn gray and white to match the pool, and then when they're down on the ground, they'll turn a brown, a green color. They really match their surroundings.
Huh, I didn't know they did that.
Well,
like chameleon?
It kind of told me that, okay, if you're throwing a frog, maybe the color, you need to match your surroundings a little bit more. So if you're fishing a lot more gravelly stuff, maybe those whitish, grays, browns are better. If you're fishing around bushes, lots of laydowns, the bank's nice and green, maybe you should go to those greens, those reds, some stuff that really blends in. And it may not make a darn bit of difference, but the Baitman in me's thinking. But anyway, so this is the Trace from 6 Cents, shad profile. It's actually got 4 segments if you count this tail. Now, The retail run of these, the tail is a real soft plastic. It's pretty durable, but it's going to match the bait. So this is clear. Now the one I got is a slow sink. You just burn it on top of the water. So it's like a hybrid swim bait, weight bait. This one is a slow sink. I'm sorry, the one I had was a floating. So technically topwater, but this is it right here. And they'll be available, I'm going to say, right at July. So,
Wait, I heard
Is that the 4K shad?
yeah, that's like one of the OG
I love
6
that color.
cents colors. Like, it's been around forever. And it's just a really, really good one.
I keep hearing
So,
echoes
You keep hearing echoes?
coming from it.
Okay. Well, I don't hear no echo. As long as the people in the stream don't hear echo, we're good. So Rob Cocker says jank juice popper or splash bait would be fire. Yes, it was. I love the jank juice. That chartreuse purple. That's why I like Debo. He's all about that chartreuse and purple as well.
Dude, it's killer color.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit topwater tonight. We're going to talk a little bank fishing, angling. Before we get in that, retail on that, I believe, Adam, don't quote me, is going to be about $34. So it's probably going to be pretty expensive for 6 cents, but really what they're trying to do is bring that swim bait game more to a mass market of people instead of, charge $80, $90. And there's, like, I love a bull shad. Mike Buka, amazing bait, one of the OG bait creators. I'm still going to throw bull shads. I'm still going to throw all the other stuff. But this is a good bait it's a gateway. You know what I mean? So if you get a guy that catches fish on this, he's going to go say, I don't mind spending that $60 on a bull shad. I've heard a lot about this bait. I'm confident in this one from 6 cents. Let me step up. And just gets a guy into there. So I feel cool about that. But one thing I want to say is I appreciate Debo coming on here, and something he said on his channel and that I like is, you got a lot of YouTube drama, and I kind of try to stay away from that. I know sometimes I'll make comments about random stuff, but for the most part, I like collaborating with people on a stream or whatever. I'm not trying to get my numbers up or get any more subscribers, but I just want, dude, I love talking baits with people. I love talking fishing, and I think,
Amen, man.
I think more guys doing that is overall good for fishing and YouTube.
Yeah, like, that's such a good point, because even I think people have this deal of like, oh, this guy doesn't fish the way I do, I'm not going to learn anything from him. I know, like, when I talk about bank fishing and stuff, a lot of people talk to me about that of, oh, I don't watch the pros, I fish from the bank. That doesn't relate to me. A lot of this stuff is going to relate to you, and even if it's somebody who might not fish like your way, you might learn things of doing stuff in a way that will help and fit to you. Like, if you see a guy fishing from a boat that's having a bunch of success throwing X lure, there's probably a way you can adapt that to bank fishing and have the same success. You might not be, offshore stuff. Obviously, that's kind of off, but there's a lot of stuff you can watch on those and still learn. So
yeah, absolutely.
Don't just discount it.
And it's not just YouTube, man. It's like Facebook groups and stuff like that. And I feel like sometimes, especially the swim bait groups, and nothing against them, I've learned so much in there, but there's always that elitist mentality that if it's not this way or that way, then you can't fish, or your bait doesn't have that much rash on it. You don't know what it does. You don't know if it's a good bait. Actually, I posted something about the 6 cent swim bait, and it, for the most part, there were good comments, but you had a few that were like, well, how do you know it's not got rash? That bait's too pretty. And I'm like, dude, I got to pull. And the way I see it, there's many pros and many guys that are like you that, dude, we've seen enough tackle and enough baits in our day. If you can throw it in a pool and make 10 casts, you can tell if it's going to be decent or not. I mean, if it runs straight, does it when you stop it, does it stay true center? Does it suspend? Does it have those qualities in it that you look for in a bait that catches fish? And, it's not always about the paint jobs either. Let's be honest. A bone-colored spook, popper, whatever you want to call it, for the most part, that's a go-to, man. It just catches. There's nothing fancy about bone. Lee Livesey just won at Lake Fort, 108 pounds. Bone spook. Had a help of a 6 cent square bill and a few other things, but it's really simple fishing. So
Then I missed the drama.
I'm pulling up my
No, you
YouTube.
didn't.
I can't respond to the chats unless I pull it up on my phone. So I see a few questions that I want to type answers to. So let me throw it to you, Debo. You're starting out. You're going to throw topwater, and
Okay.
let's say we're off the bank. I know you're a frog guy,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're going to, for a beginner guy, what's your go-to bank fishing topwater? Especially this time of year. We're post spawn. It's kind of in the summer. What are you going to go to?
Yeah. So for me, this is actually there's a couple. So I know first you had the popper. I kind of got on that discussion on my channel, but like when I was first starting to fish topwater, a topwater popper, and for me specifically, it was the Rebel Popper in baby bass color. What like was the deal? I don't care where you go, you can fish it, quicker like a walking bait. Once you learn how to walk a lure, you can bloop it. So that's how I was doing it mostly. Just visually. There it is.
See,
there it is.
There it is, baby bass. I always say baby bass is an excellent color, especially for a pond.
Yeah, and that's honestly something people don't think about enough is matching bass. Often we're thinking about what are they feeding on, and we're thinking bluegill, crappie, but bass eat bass. They're predators. They don't want to deal with other bass in their area. If they're little, probably going to be food. But throwing a popper, you can fish it slow around, laydowns and stuff. Like I would always just look for trees and stumps and stuff and just bloop, bloop. That's what you want to hear is that sound, and it just draws fish. It's an easy lure to fish. Going away from that, like moving, like if you don't want to get into the casting or if you don't want to, work a lure, if you're just more of a cast and retrieve guy, either a buzz bait or we were just kind of talking about how do you know if something's going to be good? Like, is it gimmicky? For me, a whopper plopper. Like, I hated a whopper plopper. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I was just like, dude, that's just some gimmicky, stupid thing that looks ridiculous. Like, why wouldn't you just throw a buzz bait? But dude, the whopper plopper has been something I've used, and it's great for like beginners because you're literally just throwing it out and reeling it in. Like once you've got the grass that's starting to come up, you've got some of those drop offs, you've got laydowns. You're essentially fishing it like you would any type of search bait.
Yeah.
You're bringing it over stuff next to cover. I know that's another good one for beginners, or just a regular old buzz bait. Same kind of deal.
Yes. I'll tell you the one I like, and some people would say different. That's something I wanted to bring up. One good thing about a plopper.
Oh, no, you're still there. Oh, it's night. Old school ponds at night, jitterbug. Like you never hear people talk about the jitterbug anymore. Yeah. I don't think I have my old school box next to me.
Man, I got one.
Dude, like a black jitterbug back in the day. My buddy had a farm pond, and we would set up. He had like a big 6-person tent we'd set out there. We'd have like a bonfire and stuff. And his grandpa owned a ton of cattle, so he had like drainage ponds and stuff. And I remember we would throw the jitterbug out there camping. Like it'd be midnight or whatever, and throwing that, and you've just got moonlight. You can barely see it. So much fun, man.
So I've actually kind of gotten used to. See, this has been used. I actually like the Chapo pretty well. Ooh, it's got the tail is different. It's got a different cup on it than a whopper plopper. This one has more of a whine. I feel like those old squeaky buzz baits. Like this one has that squeak to it. Now, I love a whopper plopper. I'm not the best at it. In fact, I love a walking bait more than anything. But I've done really well with the chopper. I know the Chapo. I know a lot of people gave it hate. Said, "Oh man, that's a whopper plopper knockoff." Let's be honest, it's their version of a whopper plopper. It's pretty dang close. But
right.
The one thing about a buzz bait versus a popper is you can cover so much more water with a plopper or a buzz bait. I feel like, and it's got a little bit bigger profile in the water. You got 2 hooks on it, so you will miss fish just about any topwater, but you got a little bit better landing ratio on a plopper.
How am I gonna?
Let's go questions here. That'll kind of help me dictate what we're going to talk about a little bit. That's a good. Clay makes a great point. You can stop a plopper where you can't stop a buzzbait.
For sure. Yep. Absolutely.
I'll tell you, Debo, the biggest bass I've caught on one, I I threw it out there. These fish they weren't schooling. They were chasing gizzard shad on what we call a gravel bar. Basically, that's a long, shallow, flat point. It's a natural occurrence. Basically, where a current keeps rolling over a pointer area, and it just makes what it looks like a bar. So, and they were chasing these fish, but they weren't schooling. And I was throwing a plopper, and one missed it. I made another cast, and I just ripped it and paused, and I had one of the biggest topwater explosions ever. I mean, it scared me. I was like, whoa. And it was about a 6-pounder. And so I said, well, let me try that again. Next cast caught one about 4. But if you just kept reeling it, they didn't want it. But it just makes so much commotion that I really think those fish keyed on it.
Yes, almost fishing it like a devil horse.
Yes.
Like a rip bait type.
Very underrated bait, by the way. We got so many questions. Don't want to start. I saw someone say, "What's the best way to bloop it?" Said, "I can only walk the dog. I can never get that big bloop ever." And he uses 17-pound mono. Should I be using fluoro? Going to be honest, I wouldn't use fluoro. I actually did today because that's what I had tied on. But the big blooping sound, it's really about the mouth on a popper. If you get one that's got a real shallow cut, it's not going to bloop. The old Ploppers will do it. This is the Magnum Ploppers, and then I've got the old school juice in here. So this is the this is the P70. This is the Magnum popper that was discontinued. So there's the P70 up top, the regular on the bottom. This P70 is now back in production. Tackle Warehouse has what they call the P71. They took a 3D scan of this bait internally, externally, and they're remaking it. And they're selling pretty fast, so you might want to check Tackle Warehouse if they got any of this. And guys, if y'all order from TW, they're way behind. Put that 2-day shipping on there. So I'll link this, but if you'll notice, it's got a big cupped mouth. And that's really going to get you a lot more of that bloop. And you'll notice that the water will really, like a big bubble will come in front of it. Whereas, this is the bait I threw this morning. I put up on Instagram, caught me a couple of those Debo dinks. But Baitman Jr. was slaying this morning. And I was actually filming some stuff with Mark Menendez for Yamaha Outboards that may air during the Bassmaster Classic. So that's cool. But
cool.
I tied on the 6 cent splashback. This is becoming one of my really go-to poppers. And so it's got this wedge shape, but it's got a really deep mouth to it. So it does two things. You can make it bloop, and I actually will just a little bit harder pop to it. And I want my rod going straight down, and it will kind of splash, bloop. Or I can go really light twitches, and dude, this thing will walk back and forth and just kind of spit. And I had one hit me right at my feet, and it scared me. And Mark was fishing with his wife, and Baitman Jr. was over there, and Baitman Jr. goes, "Oh my God, what happened?" And so I didn't have my drag set, so I'm trying to catch up to this fish, and I flip it over. But try not to be too sponsory, but man, the Splashback 70 is a really, really good bait. I'm a big fan. This is Ghost Bone Minnow, very, very natural color. Was fishing a really clear pond. I know a lot of guys like colors like this. And so this is one thing.
I've got the bluegill one, and it's freaking awesome.
That's what I got right here.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that's for bluegill juice. Man, it's such a really good color. And speaking of, bank angling, pond angling, I like those bluegill colors because almost all your ponds you go to, it's got some kind of bluegill. You can find this is an old Zell Roland. This is a small popper. They discontinued. I need to put some new hooks on it. But these things right here, great for pond fishermen. You can get a regular pop bar for what, $5-6? You can go to Walmart. You don't have to spend a lot of money for topwater. I mean, I've got high dollar mega bass. I've got whatever. But we're bait junkies. If you want to go catch fish, you can go find like I said, Walmart, your local tackle shop is going to have some Rebel Ploppers. So, All right.
And you don't need an expensive combo either. You know, especially for topwater, you're seeing the bite. It's not like you're waiting to feel that little finesse tick. You know, so don't worry about having some big expensive deal. 12, 14 is usually my go-to, like on a little popper, 14-pound mono, and you can. That's one thing I was going to say was if that guy was having trouble blooping it, depends on how much slack you have, and you kind of talked about that. Take up most of that slack and give it just a quick, sharp bloop, and it'll do that bloop as opposed to like longer, like sweeping motion, like you're walking a dog.
Right, and that's something I had to figure out. Is, Craig Powers, one of the best topwater fishermen ever, FLW pro, and I've watched him throw a P70, and he gets it to walk really good, and it's almost like when he's twitching his rod, the line's not moving. It's got so much slack, it's just the line's moving the bait, not the rod. Whereas if you want it to bloop, you want to get the slack out a little bit. And to be honest with you, a slower reel, like a 6-3 to 1, I know it's not ideal, it's actually better for walking, whereas an 8 to 1, sometimes it's better for popping because it pulls that slack so quick. Speaking of reel, I hate to get off subject, Debo, but
oh, hey, that sounds like on subject to me. I love talking gear. I'm a gear nerd.
This used to be the topwater reel I used all the time. It's a little slow now. Somebody sent me this, and I'd like to send this to you in a box. It is near mint.
I can't see. It's all just white.
It is the Bantam Chronarch.
Oh, is that the old white?
Yes, the old
silvery
Bantam Chronarch 100. And it is in mint shape. So I saw you do the casting deal with the old school green one, and then the E series. Well, to me, this was my favorite longest distance casting old school reel. And got you a little care package and you get in the mail. I want you to do a little casting with this guy and tell me what you think. Because, man, back in the day, I could fire topwater forever with this reel, but it's not real fast. I mean, they
weren't back in the day. You couldn't find fast. They didn't have fast reels.
No, I mean you can catch one. You're going to have to play it. You know it's simple. You can't. But that 6-to-1 ratio helps you walk a lot of baits because it helps have a lot of slack. But dude, that's my favorite reel of all time. Caught so many fish on those. Now I love my Daiwas and I got some SLX I really like. But you made a good statement. How about the brakes? On that you had to open the side plate and all that. Like my new Daiwas, I just turned that dial and I'm dialed in.
Yeah.
I've lost some side plates on them things before.
Oh, dude, so have I, for sure.
Let's see. Let's see if we got some more questions in here. Yeah, the 6-inch popper does sit and walk in one spot. That's a where I like that is if you got some cover around, whether it's a stump, a lay down. I like really creeping a popper up to the end of a lay down and just letting it sit, make some small twitches and try to get it to do a little dance there and let it pause. A lot of times those fish will really smoke it. That's what they like. Let's see here. Here's a bait here I think it's pretty underrated. And we'll see if Debo's fished this guy. And this is a Rapala.
Oh, is it a skitter pop?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dude, I was just gonna say I've got a blue in that blue chrome.
Yeah.
Dude, the blue chrome skitter pop. I think it has like an orange belly. Highly underrated. One I've not fished is the balsa skitter prop.
Yeah.
Jacob Wheeler did a video and he was using it somewhere and then did a video on it. But I wondered if you were going to bring up the skitter pop. That's funny, man.
Yeah,
that
man.
is funny.
So
I couldn't see. That's not cheating. I couldn't see your box. I was going to bring that up.
So the skitter pop's got a really unique. It's like that clear mouth, but it's two-piece. Like the mouth is actually glued on to that because the bait's balsa. I think you can still find these guys, but that's a little yellow with the red head. That's kind of a pond bait, man. I've done really well on. I got some good stuff in here. I love talking topwater. I want to kind of stay away from the walking baits because that's a total different show, or we'd have a 6-hour show. And then they got a bigger size. This one's got some rash on it. I love this one. This is like their shad version of the skitter pop. And y'all see that mouth? I'm glad I bought a bunch of treble hooks this winter because I've got to change these out. But really great bait. It's probably one of the better balsa topwaters. It's hard to find a balsa topwater you can throw. Well, you can throw this guy right here. It's very kind of finesse though. It's not real loud, but man, it will catch them. What you got in there, Debo?
Oh, it's the one I was talking about. This one's special to me. This was the first lure I ever got my first solo double on.
Really?
Yeah, the first lure I ever caught, like 2 fish on it at once, 2 smallmouth.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yep.
You know what? I talk about bone, but chromes are really good. Like here's another splashback I just got in that chrome color. And believe it or not, I like chrome when it's bright and sunny. Like these guys out on the blueback carrying lakes, Lake Hartwell, Lanier, they've shown that clear water chrome is the way to go. Those fish, they see that flash and commotion, they key on it. But like I said, if you're in doubt, it's bone or chrome. I saw some guy on Facebook say, if it ain't bone or chrome, I'm going home.
It's true, that flash. I need to pick your brain on some blueback herring stuff. I've got so I don't know if Philip's in here. I was just talking to him earlier. Mr. Philip Cheek is an awesome subscriber of mine. Has literally sent me a huge box of blueback herring stuff because he fishes. I don't know if he's lived on one or lives on one now, but it's a blueback herring lake. I've never fished a blueback herring lake, but he donated a bunch of stuff to the channel for me to do a giveaway called Project Blueback instead of Project Bluebook. But,
well, I've got a few topwaters in here. They're more walking baits that are really good blueback herring lake stuff. And I might get to them here in a minute. I'm trying to stay on the popping stuff. Someone asked, do I fish a chug bug? And dude, that bait used to be old school, one of my favorite. This is the one I always done really well with. Just kind of a natural, weird, bony green. But they put pretty good hooks on these things. These are like a Gami bronze round bend. It's got this, you guys can hear it's not real loud, but it's got that same plastic that Wigglewort's made out of. This is an old one too. And chug bug walks, it spits. Man, that commercial was so iconic. It was like that rattling, spitting thing called a chug bug. Yeah. But great pond bait. The only thing I got against the chug bug is it's really light. Sometimes it does not go where you want it to go. But it catches fish. The chug bug I feel spits really, really well. Like it's got more of a spitting versus a blooping action to it. And then they made this little small mini chug bug, which I got over at Mike's Tackle World. Dude, Debo, you go insane in this place. And it's my color. Chartreuse belly, purple back.
That's cool.
Mini chug bug. Now I really like the mini in ponds, man. It's just a killer. Very good profile, like a small little bluegill. And that's something I like to tell people. If I'm pond fishing, especially a small pond, for the most part of my topwaters, I'm going to downsize. Yeah. Unless I'm somewhere I know, like Lake X, which technically it's 100-something acres, I might go big. But if I'm anything 10 acres or less that I can walk around in 20 minutes, I'm going to go with something small. Where's that Jane Juice spook at, Baitman? I know you got one. But man, believe it or not, I don't have any chartreuse and purple walking baits. I know Lucky Craft made a Sammy and chartreuse purple, and there's a company called Boeing Lures that made a chartreuse and purple, but I do got a Jane Juice weight bait. What else you got in that box, Debo?
I don't have an old one. I actually got some of these new ones. I was going to repaint them. I had an old one, but the crappy thing about these, you know what that big thing is.
Yeah.
Talk about a big mouth.
That's a hula popper.
Yep, old school hula popper. If you remember these back in the day, like the bottom was made out of this like cheesy like skirt material that you used to find on those old spinner baits.
Yeah, like
you put it in your box and it get all hard and gross, and like all of your hula poppers always ended up all gross on the backside because of those skirts. But yeah, talk about something that bloops. Like that has, you know, it's just a big, huge mouth. Literally says "brol, brol."
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I got. Somebody asked to see this bait. This is when I talk about Craig Powers. This is his own homemade version. This is he calls it the CP70. So I'm guessing this is made out of a wood or a resin-like material. But you can see again, he's got that big mouth on it, and so when they quit making the P70, Craig was a big fan of it. I mean, he bought hundreds from me back in the days when I sold tackle. He just started making his own. And this one's really, you can tell it's handmade. It's not got a 6 cents paint job. It's got a handmade paint job on it. But again, bone base, little red throat. But one thing you notice, he puts a big old feather on the back. That's something I like to do to all my top waters. For some reason, feather on the back. The Prepco Paint Shop has a Spook Junior you might be interested in. It's called, the color is Paradise. Here's a question, Debo. You may have used this bait. It says, have you used a movement wake bait yet? I have. It's cool. But I feel like wake baits, man, if we were just going to top water, it'd be here 8 hours. I think wake baits is really its kind of own deal.
Yeah, honestly, wake baits is something that I like. I've talked about it before on my channel, and I don't know when to go to a wake bait. Like, if I'm on a topwater bite, I'm fishing topwater. If I don't feel like I'm getting any topwater bites, I'm going to go to a subsurface like search lure. So I don't really know. I know the conditions where I feel like a spinner bait would do well, right, or a chatterbait. Like, I don't know when I'd say, oh man, it's perfect conditions for a wake bait.
So
that's just me.
From what I know, a wake bait really shines when it's slick. Slick, low light conditions, you get a lot of overcast, or it's the opposite. A lot of guys tell me wake baits are great when it's bright, sunny, but they all say slick. You want like those bluebird days or bass can really see things. A wake bait's good because it's moving faster across the water than say a spook or something like that, and they can react to it more. They'll tend to chase it down. But the cool thing about wake baits, you get everything from like a giant rat, all the way down to the little old school Lucky Craft wakes, which those are some of my favorites. What's up, Chris Haney? Good to see you in here, man. We've been streaming about every Saturday night, so I've got off my tail and got a lot of stuff cleaned up, so had to get Debo in here. All right, so
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. What else are you going to throw in the pond or off the bank?
Are we still talking topwater?
Yeah, man. Topwater.
Okay. Those are my big ones, or a frog. Like, I think for a bank angler, the frog is just so nice because, and I know, like, it seems like people either love a frog or hate it, like when you first start, because it just looks goofy.
Right.
It's this big rubber piece of stuff. People don't, want to take time with it. But it's so awesome for like when you're first learning, because you're not going to get it snagged very easily at all. Like, you can throw it around logs, over logs. If you're not that accurate with your cast, it doesn't matter if you go up over that log you're trying to hit. And there's popping and regular versions. So you can get a popping frog, cut the legs super short, and you can bloop that. You can do that just like you would a topwater popper.
Matter of fact,
Same deal.
I got to fish with Zach Burge. He's a pro angler, and he fished the popping frog 2 different ways. The same frog. It just depended on what kind of cover he was around. It was kind of cool. Like when we were going down this bank and it was just, bearish, he was walking it. And then he might make the next cast and there's a couple like pieces of mats or whatnot or cover, and he would make that thing spit, bloop it. And dude, he caught it both ways. And that's just one of those things I pay attention to, where most guys, even me going down the bank, I'm just walking it the whole time. And dude, he changed that retrieve up. Man, those fish really liked it. But I would agree with you if I'm a bank angler, especially a pond angler. One thing a frog does do, you can cast it really well because they're heavy enough. You can launch one.
Yep.
You can skip it under stuff. Where I love throwing poppers too, but let's be honest, you're gonna hang some in some trees.
Yep.
Whereas a frog, you're throwing it on braid. If you get it up in the tree, you can bring some leaves down with it. Let's see. Here's a good question. Troy Roach says, what about on a community dock when you can get out a little further from the bank? When I'm I'll be honest, if I'm like fishing on a dock or something like that, opens up a lot more. I'll tend to go to a walking bait where I can really get it way out there. That's the benefit of a walking bait, I think. You can cast them a lot farther than a popper.
Yeah, that or like going to that, like a 130 size, like the Chapo.
Yeah.
I think it's a 130 is what it comes in. I know that big size scares a lot of new people. Like newer anglers don't want to go to bigger stuff. It's just a fear. I know I talk to people all the time, but from one of the kings of dink catching, I'm telling you, little bass will hit the big
yes, they will.
130 Chapo. I mean, I was fishing for muskie. We were fishing for like big bass / muskie with like a 130, and I caught I don't know how many dinks. Never caught a single muskie or anything big. Just kind of throwing that around as like a finesse topwater, for spring muskie, and yeah, it catches for sure.
I keep seeing jitterbug comments, so I'm gonna have to grab one here.
Yeah, I don't think I've got an old box of stuff. I don't know where I put it.
This is
old worst.
This is a good one here. This is the jointed jitterbug.
Oh.
And I believe a subscriber sent me this. And this is the old school version, man. Really like the jointed jitterbug. A lot of guys love the jitterbug at night. I've actually had some really good success. It's kind of weird. When I was growing up, my dad had a box full of them, and I never threw them. And then one day I got the bright idea. I said, hey, I want to throw that thing. I was probably like 12 or 13. I'd been around fishing. He said, yeah, let's wait till about dark and go out and fish. And we did. And, dude, I had one slam it, and I loved it. And so when I got about 16 or 17, I could drive a lot of times. But I didn't live 5 minutes from the lake. I go down to the local marina and throw a black jitterbug around the docks at night.
Yeah.
Dude, they would train wreck it. But that lip, it's actually a great beginner bait because you can reel it slow, you can reel it medium fast, but the lip does all the work. You just point your rod tip at the bait and you reel slow. And you're going to have some fish miss it. And the best tip I can give, if you have a fish miss any topwater bait, just keep going. Because a lot of times that fish will get pissed off and say, man, I missed it, and come back and grab it. Sure, you can stop it, and sometimes you'll get a few, but I'm telling you, especially on a jitterbug or a walking bait, you just keep going. They don't like it. They're like, man, I done hit this thing. It's still going. I got to come get him.
Yep. Don't set the hook. Resist the urge to set the hook on those. I still do that. Any of those, just stop. Tell yourself stop.
Yep.
And then go.
Let's see. What else I got up here?
Feel weight.
Oh, speaking of poppers, very underrated right here. They still make them. It's another Pratco bait. The spitting image.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's got old Bill's signature, but a lot of people, these kind of got hard to find. The Excalibur version, they make it again now. It's on Tackle Warehouse. I'll link some of this stuff I can on Tackle Warehouse. I'll put my top 10 best poppers and stuff, and some recommendations from Debo on there. But I love the spitting image, and it's more of a spitting walking style bait. It's a little bit different than a normal popper, but it walks really good. But I always love these holographic finishes on these things right here. They're just excellent. So you got the spitting image, and then like
I've got what's the other one? That's the no lip. I've still got mine from way back, my old bill.
I've got a swimming image. It's got that little lip, and it's more of like a weight bait.
Let me see.
And then
I've got a couple.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a popping image, and they make a spitting image. The spitting image has got more left to right movement on it. I got one somewhere. We're all searching. We got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, the old Excalibur Bill dances. Here's what is this one called? This one I was thinking. Oh yeah, there's the spitting image.
So there's the spitting image. Yes, that's the one. I love that color. That's that threadfin shad color.
Yeah.
So the spitting image versus
Old
the
school.
popping image. Popping has got like a popper mouth. The spitting is enclosed. So, but the spitting image, it rolls on its side really quickly. And I like that. Because it's not, when I say rolls on its side, I don't mean like a crankbait flopping over. I mean, yeah. Dude, those finishes.
The old swimming.
Yeah, I love those finishes. Even they put them in their big crankbaits and everything too. But those things are really good around bluegill beds, is what I found.
Oh, and there's the one I was looking for earlier. That's the killer right there, the old school popper.
You put some new hooks on that thing, hadn't you?
Yeah, I put a bigger one on the front to like help bring it down, and you can do like a quick blip, 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 was something that I always messed around with when I was younger and sit it, because like normally they'll kind of sit like this, and when you do it on like that kind of short pop, it'll go like bloop.
Yeah.
But I was trying to do like where it would sit more like this, where you can like quick pop it. Oh, I was experimenting, but like I remember the only bad thing about those old like hairy things on these is they would get like all yellow and gross. It wasn't like a feather. I don't know what that stuff was that was on those old poppers.
It was like hackle or something. It wasn't quite a feather.
Yeah. You get like all yellow and gross.
Someone says, Spitting Image Junior, Gary on. Gary has sent me so much stuff. Great guy. I appreciate you, Gary. And he said the Spitting Image Junior walks really good. Great for ponds. That's a cool thing about poppers. I feel like poppers are so, it's a little bit more versatile than a walking bait. And I've caught fish in the pond on a walking bait. I really feel like a popper I can take about anywhere and catch a bass, especially this time of year.
Speaking of wake baits, this is an old one. Recognize that one?
Oh, I think you might have got me. Unless that's some kind of AC plug. Somebody name that bait, because I've been stumped.
Yep, I'm not going to say it.
I've been.
This is the only wake bait I ever threw, just because like Dad gave it to me when I was younger and loved it.
It's got a metal,
and I was scared.
metal lip. It's old school.
Yep. Metal bill.
Oh.
That's a cool one.
I don't know.
Oh, and it's got, I can't show you the name of it, but you don't see that anymore. Made in the USA.
Ooh.
Stamped right on it.
Ooh.
Oldie.
Owen says, listen to this. He says, my friends and I are designing a lure from our garage. It sounds really stupid. A topwater walking jig. I don't know if that sounds stupid or genius.
A topwater walking jig?
Yeah.
Dude, I know there's people that throw it. Randizzle, the guy that I fish with, I call him Randizzle, Randy. He's said he wants to find a huge soft plastic that's big enough so his jig doesn't sink, so he can just run it on the top like a plop and toad or whatever. He's like, that way I can get topwater jig fish too.
There's a company that makes a floating jig. I've seen it.
Seriously?
It's for bed fishing. Yeah, I'll see if I can find. I'll have to Google the Netherlands, but I'm telling you, I've seen in stores for sale a floating jig. So back in the day, man, it used to be a deal on the beds. It was like when I say floating, it's like a 1/64th ounce jig, but it's got that profile, and they throw it and they just let it fall and that slow around that bed and just kind of get it to flare off. And supposedly it was used to really make people mad. All right, we got questions on that. Someone says a LNS. Walt says a river rat. Gary Ong says the Miro lure.
Yep, I saw somebody Bayou Burner. Yep, LNS Miro lure floater. That's it.
Wow,
that's cool because they like stamped it on the. See which way it goes here, like that. They stamped it on the bill what it was. I don't know how clear that's going to show, but yeah, pretty cool. That's an old favorite of mine.
Yeah, Gary is kind of like, dude, I haven't stumped him yet. He's really knowledgeable.
That's awesome.
Oh, great question. We got a little $4 make you holler from GR3KT Bad. I'm going to say Great Bad. It says, where do you get y'all's dress trebles? Much love. Now, I don't tie my own. Going to be straight up. I just order from Tackle Warehouse. Let's see if I have a pack. I had some in here. If I can find mine.
I've got some too.
I just usually, I don't know where I put them. I had them in a box. I usually get the Gamakatsu dress trebles because they got bigger feathers on them. But if you can find a buddy that has a vise and can tie, you find you somebody that likes to fly fish, you can get any treble you want to tied up. And that's something I'd actually like to learn and start doing. The mustads are really good, yeah. But I just get on Tackle Warehouse. The hookup tackle has a bunch of different megabass ones that are different colors too. But I've always done real. It's like a magic eye treble. I don't get too crazy, but I like owner hooks. And find you a buddy that's a fly tire. Just hand him a treble. He'll know what to do. You're into bait making, Debo. I'm surprised you're not into tying your own.
I do tie my own. I've got a whole box of. I tie them. I'm not very good at it yet. I've actually got an old spook. It's actually the saltwater spook.
Ooh.
Just a regular super spook that I did one on that looked pretty cool, but I'm not an artist at it yet.
Yeah, I do think that makes a difference though at times.
Oh, for sure.
What we're fixing to have here is I don't know if you got them there. Is the 17-year Cicada. And the last time those cicadas were here, number one, I couldn't mow the yard. I was 18. I'd mow the yard, and I'd be jumping off of it, fighting these things. And my dad was just laughing at me, and I was like, "Well, why don't you mow the yard?" And he's like, "No, I don't have to. It's your chore." And but the topwater bite here was so good, especially the big smallmouth. For some reason, those cicadas are hitting the water, and they're always stirring up. And I remember in the middle of the day, if you found some fresh cicadas, there'd be thousands of them on the lake dead or in the pond. But if you found some fresh ones that were still twitching around, dude, the popper was really good.
Yeah, we actually got on a good day. The last time we had one here, we're not scheduled for like the Brood X cicada hatch deal thing. I think that's all east of us. But we had one here, and I would say junior high or middle school, and my neighbors owned a cabin down in Rathbun, which is like a huge lake here. Actually, I think Rathbun's a reservoir. But anyway, down at their cabin, and we were catching catfish, believe it or not, topwater that were coming up and eating those. And I still remember I've got like the picture of me holding one. I caught it on a spinnerbait. But this big old catfish in my Taz shirt, and the other kids were like throwing cicadas on and throwing them topwater, and it was crazy. There were so many of them, nuts.
Yeah, I remember you pick up their shells and all stuff. Every now and then we find one. I don't know if my wife's watching the stream, but when we were first dating, she had a little apartment or whatnot. And long story short, we're watching TV, and I keep hearing this. So I go in her laundry room, and there's this big cicada, and I think it's dead. It's like laying on its side, not moving. And I'm like, all right. So I go to poke it. The trash can was right beside, so I go to poke it in the trash can. It turns around, and it screams at me like a person scream. It was like, ah! And I've never ran so fast in my life. Yeah, I jumped behind the couch, and she was crying, laughing. She always brings it up. And she said the other day, she said, "How are you going to live when this 17-year cicada's hit?" And I was like, "Man, come on, don't hate me." She's like, "You went from like macho man to little girl instantly." But man, them things are scary when they're mad.
One day at a time. I'm taking it one day at a time.
All right, let's see here. I'll hit you with some questions. Sycamore says, "I noticed how you walked around that basement. You may be the only one allowed down there."
Yeah, so luckily, actually I have to thank my wife for it. Thank you, honey. But I used to have, like, my stuff was over by the girls' side of the basement where they had, like, all their toy stuff. And one weekend I was gone. I forget where I was fishing. And she rearranged it all. So I've got, like, this whole, I would say, third of the basement. And the girls have the other half with, like, their TV and all that. But they don't come down here. They don't mess with it. Luckily, I don't say it's off limits. I just say, just look at stuff if you want. But
yeah, that's kind of what I do with Baitman Jr. So, I don't want him in here when I'm not here. But if he comes outside, I say, you can go in there. Just don't take stuff out of there. He's kind of got where he's like, "Dad, organized. Go put this where it's supposed to be. Like right before I come here, he said, I got these baits out of your truck. You need to hang them up. I'm like, then I just put them on the table. And he's like, you won't ever find them if I put them on the table.
I'll find them. It's organized chaos.
Well, he doesn't realize. I keep trying to tell him. He's like, I'm like, dude, all this stuff in here, it's yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're going to get into fishing,
One day.
you take whatever. We just got to get you down on your casting a little bit better so you don't go through them so quick. I thought it sounded good. Someone's mentioning the Jackal bow stick, and I had one on my stream last week. If you ever get a chance, Debo, and you find one of these, and I actually think you live in a good area of the country to find some tackle that's good stuff, been discontinued, but this is a big walking bait. But you hear it's got that kind of Vixen-like sound to it. But it's got that real unique chamber there. Water can flow through this, and man, this is a big bait, but man, it makes a lot of commotion.
I've not seen those. That's cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jackal made it, and they like to make stuff that's good and then discontinue it. I've never understood that. I get it if it's not good or don't sell, but those things sold.
Somebody said Blue Bass just said I was gonna grab that one.
Chris Jones, anybody throw a Lobina Rico? Matter of fact, I do. Let me find my Rico. And this thing has been, I need to order some. They actually had Yellow Magics on sale on Tackle Warehouse not long ago. But this is my favorite Rico. It's kind of a pearl and not really a bone. It's more of a pearl. I got to put a new hook on there. These are dull. But the feather's been killed off, or it's like got half a feather hanging off this thing anymore. But that Rico, and I like the Rio Rico. This is the big one. I mean, this thing's got rash. It's got teeth marks. And I'll be honest with you guys, as much as I like some of these other poppers, when it's like go time and I really need a bite, I throw this guy right here. I've caught a ton of fish. And I've actually changed. I went opposite, Debo. I've got the stock hook on the back, but on the front, I put the G Finesse treble hook on it.
So it sits more butt down?
Yes, it sits more butt down. This G Finesse is super sticky. So if you get some fish that come at this thing and slap at it, that G Finesse hook will get them. Now, I'm not going to throw, if I got G Finesse hooks on a popper, I don't use braid because braid will straighten them out. I'm going to go 14, 15 pound mono. It's the only downside of G Finesse. You will straighten some hooks with braid.
Yeah, now like if you're having trouble, I know that's one thing people are asking about. If you're having trouble walking a lure with braid, like it's getting tangled up, either just switch over to mono or go with like a mono leader, like, 5 foot or 4 foot or whatever. That mono's a little bit stiffer, it'll stick out so it doesn't get all caught up. But this is one, I don't know if you've used the Bullet Pop. This is the 70, it's a little bit smaller, but I've actually liked these from Berkley.
Looks really good. Justin Lucas, he went out to the Lake X.
Yep.
He's been on the Tackle Warehouse channel, and he was using that Bullet Pop and crushing them out there. I really like Justin Lucas, great guy, by the way. But I'm going to go out to Lake X this week, and I'm going to throw a pop around. But speaking of, got to plug this. I'm going to do some electro fishing for bass Monday.
Sweet.
Going
with
out,
the DNR?
I'm going out with Southern Pond Management over to Lake X. You've seen it on my channel. It's on Tackle Warehouse, all that. It's where they do a lot of vlogs with Mark and other guys. We're going to try to shock up a double digit. So the whole thing is one of my great friends, Jimmy Smith. Jimmy, if you're watching, appreciate you. He spends so much money on this place, and he is trying to grow double digit bass. So Southern Pond Management's coming in. They're doing their yearly shocking, and I'm going to get to go along with them in the shock boat. And then I'm going to come fish Friday. And it's going to be pretty cool. I think they're going to tag some bass and some stuff. So it'd be cool if I could catch one of the tags. But want to figure out how much bass you got to take out of that place, how much more bait he's got to add. He just dumped like a ton of crawfish, a literal 2,000 pounds of crawfish in there. And I know some people say, oh, it's a private lake or whatever. The way I see it, I do so much. I've learned so much in there about the habits of bass, especially different weather, what they do with different water temperature. Dude, it's a great bait testing place. I'm not gonna lie, because the water's clear. I can see what stuff does. And to be honest, Kentucky Lake wasn't that good for a while, and I just wanted to go catch fish.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like, so growing up here in Iowa, we have a ton of farm ponds. Like, you'll talk to somebody and they talk about catching a really big bass, and it's like, oh, what lake are you at? And they're like, oh, it was a farm pond. So, you'll talk to people about farm pond fishing. They're like, well, farm pond fishing isn't real fishing. They'll eat anything. Then I'm like, that's fine. Then when you go there, throw something that you don't have confidence in and see if you still catch fish. Don't just go out there and throw a stick bait and catch 100 fish and say you're a tough guy. Go out and fish something that you don't normally tough, or that you don't normally fish, or that you don't have confidence in. It's a great place to test baits, just like you were saying. For anything else, feeling how that bite feels and how to get them to bite, because you might think you're, how to fish a, I don't know, chatterbait, but you end up noticing that as you bump stuff with these fish, you were catching a lot more or whatever, little things like that. And even just like feeling how the fish loads up with a certain bite, do they hit it? Do they just take it and swim with it? Stuff that you can, put on other lakes when you go fish public spots. So,
yeah. And I'll just be honest, you have bad days pond fishing just like on the lake. I mean, true story, I went out, I took my buddy, Clint Davis, won the Forest Wood Cup, great friend of mine. He just finished second or third place here in a big tournament on Kentucky Lake, and said, man, I really need to do a photo shoot for Mr. Twister. You're a good photographer. We go. I said, sure. And I said, we'll go over to Lake X. We'll knock it out in like an hour. He's like, dude, I hadn't been over there forever. I went to college with Jimmy. He's always said, go, let's go. Dude, we fished 2 hours and didn't get a bite. And he said, man, we'll just go back to Kentucky Lake. I know we can wreck them. I was like, all right. So we hauled an hour back to Kentucky Lake, and he train wrecked them on a swim bait and a Ned rig on a ledge, and we got our photos done. But he's like, people always say it's private lake, it's easy fishing, but I'm here to tell you, when bass don't want to bite, it doesn't matter what kind of body of water it is, they don't bite. And, hey, it happens. Dude, I fished Lake X once this year and caught 8 fish in 8 hours. The day before, I fished Kentucky Lake and caught 30 in like 2 hours, so.
Yeah, dude, it happens everywhere. I forget who said this, I'm sorry, but somebody was asking about the head and torpedo.
Oh, baby.
So for me, pond fishing, like the tiny torpedo, talk about used and abused, and like you were talking about, Baitman, is like this almost has like a whiny, like screechy to it, because it's like that metal, I don't know what you call it, like propeller against that little metal like deal there, and it has that like kind of squeaky, scratchy, but it's got that bloopy. Yeah, man, I abused the heck out of this thing. This was right up there with the popper or popper for me. I always tell people,
sure, very underrated, and this is the perfect time for this bait. Shad spawn coming up, especially if you're a lake guy. It's really good in ponds too, because you make it sit there. Is the crazy shad from Cotton Cordell, and yes, I put a red hook on it. I don't know if it makes a difference. Now my dad says it does, but the cool thing about the crazy shad, it's got 2 props, but it's a small profile. It's not too big, not too small, but really imitates like a dying shad up on top of the water. The cool thing is, if you catch enough fish on it, I've got to change the hooks on this one. The base on them are bone. So you buy chrome, yep. You catch enough fish, you get bone. That's right. That's that
half chrome, half bone.
Yeah. So that's an old one. I believe the new ones though, clear underneath. But I like those clear crazy shads. Like, that's something we should talk about. Is clear topwaters, especially clear water or pressured fish, especially in poppers. I do really good with them.
I don't ever throw them. I had a buddy that did. I'm kind of like you. I would just go to a chrome, and that's kind of my like clear water. When it's kind of sunny, I would just go chrome.
Again,
but I never got into clear water stuff.
If you're having trouble picking a color, chrome or bone, that's the way to go. Now here's one, old school again, Excalibur. This is the super popper. See how long and skinny that is? Not quite got as deep as mouth, but a lot of guys like this one. It's just kind of, it's got a click kind of sound. But that was, sharp hooks. Those old Excaliburs are good, but that Rebel Super Popper, That was a pretty good one. I think Zell Rowland made this pretty famous. So let's see. Let's get back to the questions. I like answering it. What's up, 10 Horse Monty?
He was just crushing him on the chug bug. I was actually going to bring him up. He has been destroying him on the chug bug. I was never a big chug bug guy.
Yeah, 10 Horse Monty's a good guy too. He's got some good streams going, and he's
coming through my way. He actually is going to be driving literally through my town, so we're going to try to hook up.
Heck yeah, man! You make sure you give him a high five for me. He's probably been on my channel since I had 2,000 subscribers, maybe less.
Oh, that's awesome!
Like some of these guys here, man. When I started, I was streaming from my kitchen table off a cell phone. They've been around that long, so I appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, I was also telling Debo that a few guys in here know I love sprint car racing, dirt racing. He lives close to Knoxville, Iowa, and I've saved up some vacation time. If it don't work this year, definitely going to do it next year, but I believe I'm going to go to Knoxville, Iowa to sprint car races, not too far from Debo, and maybe we can meet in the middle. I'll go pond hopping with him. Maybe we'll make a bait video. I don't know, but I'd love to go.
I'm down, dude. I am down.
That's the kind of stuff I like. So, here's a good question. David Ray, does anyone remember the old Nichols Lures popper? I have seen one at Mike's Tackle World. I didn't buy it. I need to go back there, but I do remember it. Let's see. Chris Mikulski asks, you ever used the Head and Hellraiser? I don't. What's up, Chuck Capel? Good to see you here. Let's see here. Chris actually asked, how big is Lake X? It used to be 80-something acres, and they did a bunch of work to it at one time. They opened it up more. It's actually near 100 acres now. And to be honest, 100 acres is pretty much a lake. That's a lot. It's a lot of water, and it's not shallow. I would say 60 acres of that is 15 to 30 foot deep.
Oh, wow.
Baitman, Bobfish, bow sticks color for Berkley, Tennessee, or Sexy Shad. Man, I think the bottom's white. I've always done good luck on the bow stick on Sexy Shad. I really want Tennessee Shad's fine too. You're going to have luck on either of those. So, Jesse Osborne. Why does no one talk about the old man's chug and spit?
Oh,
you got one?
I don't. I don't remember what that looked like. Dude, Man's was the stuff back in the day.
Dude, it was, wasn't it?
Man's auger tails, man. Or the jelly worms.
What about
stupid good.
Baby -1? Wait bait?
Oh, yeah. I've got. Oh, actually, yeah. So that is one, but I don't really consider, like, I would consider that a shallow diving crank.
Right.
Because it's like dives like a foot.
Yeah.
Ooh,
all right, Charles. Here's a good question. I'll make it. He says, "What knot?" While you're looking for that, what knot do I prefer with mono? And I haven't ever made a YouTube knot video. I know Debo has, and it was a really good one because I watched it. I get this question a lot. This might be a TikTok. And it says, "Baitman, what's your favorite knot?" Well, this is the knot I tie. This is my Topwater mono. And yes, this is a giant spool, Trilane Max, 14 pound, high vis orange. This is my favorite mono. And I used to work for Mike Otten, and he was sponsored by Trilane. And I said, Mike, if you can ever order me that. And one day he come in and said, Merry Christmas, and brought me a 3,000 yard spool. And that's how much I've used in 10 years.
Crystal blue Trilane XL in the red boxes.
Dude, it's good stuff.
Old man raised me on that.
I actually used to even fish with this on jigs and stuff, but since I got with the fluorocarbon, one day I picked up my topwater rod and put a jig on it because I was out fishing a pond, and I set the hook with a jig, and it felt like it was forever before I felt that fish pull back. But all right, here's my knot. It's called the San Diego Jam, so I'll basically run it. This may not be a good one because the tie is way down here, but anyway, I'll run the knot. Put it through the eye or split ring or whatever, and then I go over my thumb. So you're doubling it up. And I just go around the bait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you see I've got these twists, and then I'm holding my tag. I go back under through the loop. There's a little loop right here. I don't know if we can see it in the webcam. Go through that loop. And then I've got a loop here that my thumb has created. And I go through it. Grab with my mouth because my hands are tied up. So you'll see the knot here. And then you wet it. And you pull both ends. And let's see if you can see that knot down there. There you go. It's nice. You'll see those loops all stretched out. Sometimes with mono, you have to pull a little bit, but it's very good knot. It actually gets tighter the more you pull it. I tie that knot on everything from spinner baits to topwater to swim baits. It's awesome braid knot for a frog. And you can actually go through the loop twice and make a double one, but that's my favorite now. I got
need some scissors.
Dude, I do.
Handy pair of scissors.
Dentist,
they're so handy.
I had some laying around here. Baitman Jr.'s been cutting up stuff, but my dentist is like, dude, you gotta stop doing that. I'm like, man, it's just habit. When you're, you know.
Yeah, Zona chipped a tooth on one of his Zona shows doing that.
No kidding.
Yeah, on the show. Yeah, I had to stop doing that.
Yeah, I'm getting older, man. My teeth are a little bit more sensitive than they used to be. But that's the knot I use for mono. Polymer knot works really good. I'm not like when you use fluorocarbon, I'm not a big polymer knot fan because it creates a lot of friction when you're making it and it gets hot. And I know a lot of people, they set the hook, bam, it busted the knot. That one's really not that bad because you got to wet the knot for it to actually do that deal. But I've always just had good luck with that. I don't know if there's a bad mono knot. I know some guys like the trilene knot and the polymer. Whatever way you can do it quickest with mono. That's so fast for me, like I can do it with my eyes closed. All right, we've got a $5 donation from JH. Thanks to all the info I learned all winter from both of you. I caught my PB 9.5 yesterday. Holy smokes, dude. 9.5.
Dude, congrats.
My PB is 9.4. So, bro, you beat me. I thought I was going to beat that sucker in Texas with Milliken and all those guys.
Dude, I couldn't imagine catching a double digit.
I mean, I netted that 14.
Or a 9. I couldn't imagine, dude. Couldn't imagine.
I netted a 9, a couple high 8s, and a 14.5 pounder. And then
dude, net man.
Yeah, dude. Right here, net man.
Net man.
But I did catch a 7 and like a 4.5 on the same A rig. So does that count as a double digit or just?
That's crazy. Does that feel like an absolute horse pulling?
It did, and like Casey from 6 Cents, I was fishing with him. He's like, dude, it's a Sherlunker. I see it, and I'm like, oh god, and I like really freak out and get the low butt stance, you know, the Oliver Nye, and I was like, almost got it. You got the net ready? He's like, I was like, man, that's weird. And he goes, it's 2, and I'm like, I thought it was a DD, and he goes, no, I didn't know. I was just messing with you. I'm like, oh. But I was I was ready. So, fishing small waters. Could Baitman or Debo suggest 2 topwater lures for bass anyone should have in your collection? All right, I'll suggest. I think you've got to have a bone-colored Super Spook Junior. Got to have you a walking bait. I need to put this one in my box anyway, so I'll open the package. Ain't do no good in there. Super Spook Junior in bone. That's right, babe. Yeah, see, you got the red eyes. See, this one's a newer one. It's got the black eyes. Super Spook Junior is very easy to walk.
This is the puppy. The little one you walk on.
Yeah, you still got that.
And it's funny because...
Now, a lot of people don't know this. They actually make a Super Spook Junior that comes with a feather on the back. Or you can put your own, but they make 2 different versions. One with a feather, one without. Personally, I'm just going to go buy the Gamakatsu, Mustad, or whatever feathers and save an extra $1, and I can put them on more baits.
You got to change them out.
Got to have a Super Spook Junior. So there's your walking bait, and you got to have some kind of popper. So I would just go with, you know what? I'll go with Debo on this one. Get you a baby bass popper. Again, if you're pond fishing, bank fishing, a baby bass is never a bad fish to imitate, especially in ponds, because I feel like they're carnivores. If there's not a lot of bluegill, the bass are spawning. They're going to eat those baby bass. And, you know, you got a white belly on it. No big deal. But get you a popper and a Super Spook Junior. You can cast them both really, really well. And I think those two baits right there you could get for a $10 bill for both of them, especially in a Walmart.
Yep. Look in that clearance bin. They've always got.
Dude, sometimes I find some goods in the clearance bin. A big time scrounger bait here is a Jerky J. That's a ledge fishing deal. Dude, my local Walmart had a huge bin of the smaller ones, and when it gets that time, you can't ever find them. I found them for like $2 a pack, and I bought as many as I could. Because every time that Jason Lambert guy wins a tournament on them, they get hard to find. But let's see. All right, let's see if we got some more questions here. Can you break down the A-rigs that were used in Texas? I will, David. I'll break that down on one of my videos. I got to get those finished. So y'all look for some more Texas videos this week. Yeah, it's like 4 months old, but whatever. Let's get some content and see some janks. So we've been on for an hour, 15 minutes, man. Debo's been on for 2.5 hours. Got any more quick?
Time flies.
Got any more topwater tips for us?
No, I guess that was the only other thing I kind of touched on it earlier is don't try to get out of that mindset of setting the hook. I know it's hard, but especially for treble hook baits, and I'm still bad at it, is you don't ever want to set the hook on it, feel weight and then just pull into it. Like with a popper, walking bait, and like you said, especially with a walking bait, as you're walking it, just keep your motion going. Don't stop.
Absolutely.
If they hit it, miss it, just keep going. But I get in the bad habit of with a popper, like a frog, I'll see it and then I'm trying to set the hook and stuff. Just let it load up.
Here's a good question. Debo, do you ever tie a loop knot?
I don't. No, I'm not a loop knot guy.
My dad used to, and I looked at him I just kept no, there's too much going on, Dad.
Why is it not tight onto the bait? What's going on with this?
And I would try, and I could never get it right. But
I'll just go to a snap, a really good snap.
Yep.
Instead of a loop
I do
knot.
like to upgrade my split rings if I can. Now, that 6-inch splashback, it doesn't come with the split ring. And I asked why, and the way this thing's designed, it's really hard to get a split ring onto that because the way the tie is actually recessed into this triangular shaped mouth. And believe it or not, this was a good point. Casey said this, and I've heard other bait makers say this. If I thought the bait was better with the split ring on it, we would have manufactured coming with the split ring.
Way.
You get in the swim bait world, and Mike Bucca say if I thought it needed it, I would have added to it. And I'm like, man, it's hard to argue with the guy that designed the bait. So,
right.
But on several of my walking baits, I will add a split ring, especially spooks and stuff like that. I want to talk about a bait that's my favorite. I haven't shown tonight, but this is a popper, man. I have caught so many fish on this one, Debo. It is at one time a $100 bait. Is the Lucky Craft G Splash.
Oh.
So, got a good cut mouth. You get some spitting action. You get some blooping. And they got two sizes. And I've always done really good on the clear ones. But this, Aurora Black or Tennessee Shad, these are the same color, the G Splash. They got a color called Laser Rainbow Trout that my fishing partner, he would give somebody a $50 bill for one. His is chrome, but he is so confident. But that G Splash, man, dude, such a good bait. And
it reminds me of the Arashi cover pop. I was looking
very
for one.
close.
People were talking about it earlier. I don't have one.
I don't either.
I do. It's just not right here. I've got a couple. I don't know where they're at.
I told myself in my next Tackle Warehouse order, I got to get a cover pop.
Yeah, they do. They bloop really easy. I know whoever that was talking about that was bringing it up, and I forgot about it. But
ooh, here you go. James Black. Any discontinued topwater you wish they would bring back? Which one?
Reaction Innovations.
Oh, yeah. I got one
That's
here.
probably fine.
I think there's about 4 of these in the world. This guy right here. This is a chrome Vixen. They never put this out in production. My buddy Josh Heron at Reaction sent this to me. So this is an OG Vixen in solid chrome. He said, dude, there's like 4 of these things. So I posted it on Instagram one day, and then Reaction Innovations 2 months later put it out there. I know that person runs their social media, and he said, dude, you shouldn't have posted that. I've got hundreds of people like, where is this thing at?
Where can I get one?
I would answer and say, yes, I would love for the Vixen to come back. I know Teckle makes the Kick Knocker and Baby Kick Knocker, but there's always something about that old Vixen. I know they're probably the same bait, but, you know. A lot of guys still call the Paycheck or the Kick Knocker. They always say it's a Vixen. It's a Vixen because it's a very influential bait. It was the first one, I think, that had that real loud, high pitch out there. It was easy to walk.
Yeah, I'd like to get my hands on some. Guys swear by them. I've never actually even got a fish one, so I wish they'd bring back some that were matched like that.
I do like these small walking baits like that. It's a Sammy 85.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is the Sammy's like got to be pretty close to it, right?
Yeah, so Sammy's got a lot more rattle, but it's kind of weird because the Sammy comes out. You've had spooks and all this stuff, and the Sammy comes out, the 100. This is a new one. I don't really... It's kind of like a flashy bone color. The Sammy, it's the 115. I like the 3 hooks, but the Sammy comes out, JDM bait, and what it does is it shows people you can walk. It walks so easy, like you know, a teenager or someone with not a lot of experience can go out there and they can use that bait. It walks super easy, and people are like, man, I don't know about $15, and then you throw it and you're like, oh gosh, like wow. And man, it catches a lot of fish, and that's you can take that bait and basically trace back. That's what started the JDM kind of craze. Like people were like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. Look at this topwater, how easy it is to walk. And then you start seeing other companies, Reaction Innovations and whatnot. And all of a sudden you got all these bigger, easier to walk topwaters. So, and now you got 6 Sense making the catwalks and the dogmas and great baits as well. So.
Sexy Dog, that's one of my favorites.
For the money, let's just call it.
Love
it. It's hard to beat the Sexy Dog for the money.
Let's see if I have mine. I've got one that is.
I got a Mega Dog hanging up here. Have you thrown the Mega Dog?
I've not actually just got some of those. I don't think I've done that unboxing yet. You're a bad influence.
I got to actually help with the prototype of the Mega Dog back in the day. Like I had the prototype that was made out of plastic and was told, go throw this. What do you think? And then I need it painted. And so I threw it and it's like, man, that's the Mag Dog from 6 Sense. That's a good bait. I'm just going to be honest, Debo, the only thing I don't like about that bait, it's got 2 hooks.
You think you should have 3 for the size?
Now, saying that, I know some guys, striper guys that swear by it. Say, dude, even though
you said the Mega Dog.
Yeah.
The big Strike King one.
Yep.
No, Sexy Dog has always been my go-to.
But that Mag Dog, it walks really good. It just, dude, it needs 3 hooks. For me. For me personally. Now, some guys like, man, I have no problems with the 2 hooks because they're so close together. Usually when they swap them, slap at them. Yeah, I'll find some obscure topwaters real quick. I've had a few questions. And I'm going to suggest a few things to Debo because he's probably going to get on Tackle Warehouse. Do you have a shower blow 125 or 110?
No, I've been looking at those though. I need to get one. The only type of like stick, like plopping bait or popping bait like that I've used is the gunfish.
Gunfish
and then
is nasty, dude. One of my all-time favorite topwaters.
That's the only one I've ever used like that until I got the Berkley
Cane Walker.
Cane Walker. Yep, those are the only 2 I've used like that. But I'd never used anything besides the gunfish.
I got a Cane Walker down here. I'm a big little stick as well. It's really loud. But yeah, I like the shower blow. That color right there is the blueback herring. They're so loud. But I like the smaller one too. Man, I've got way too much stuff. This needs to go in a wake bait box. This is a Berkley surge shad. It needs to go in the wake bait box. It's bad when you got a wake bait box. I'm fixing to make this an all walking bait box. I can't even. I'm trying to find my gunfish because I know they're in here. I've got some that, yeah, dude. I gotta change the hook on this one. That was one thing about the Lucky Crafts. So there's the big, I believe that's the 115 gunfish. I've got rash all over. Their hooks were sharp, but man, they were brittle, man. I ended up breaking a lot of them. If I remember right, this one got stuck in a life jacket, and I had to cut it up. But boat flips only. Sometimes in the boat, you catch them on topwater, you gotta flip them in there. They don't always land where you want them to. But
yeah, that's the cane walker.
That's his, dude. I'm gonna call it. I'm just gonna be honest, man. A lot of people get on that Berkley hate list, but I think they make a pretty good bait. I think their topwaters they've done really well. There's the Catwalk 6 cents, which is different than the Dogma, which I just had. Yep, I'm gonna have to have a dedicated walking bait box. This is probably going to be it too, and have me a popper box, and I can barely get this stuff back in here. I got third world bait probs, Debo.
See, here's my my sexy dog that has seen a couple fish.
Oh man, yeah. So I actually think those baits get even better as the chrome starts to flake off, because then you get like this hybrid chrome with a bone belly. It's just really fishy looking.
Yeah, it's a weird look. Yeah.
So here's a good pop, a good bait at a good price, and this is the Yo-Zuri 3DB pencil. Company you don't hear a lot about, really, but Yo-Zuri makes some good stuff. They make the 3DB popper's really good. I actually linked this in Tackle Warehouse. I'll be up for a while linking some stuff, you guys, but dude, it's kind of like a shower blow. But I love that it's got this holographic slide down the middle to throw flash on. I was like, man, I don't know about buying this clear one, but I like how it had the flash with it. Would like to add a tail, but it gets a big oversized treble on this thing.
Here's one of those cover pops. I found one.
Ooh. So that bait will walk in place super, super well. I love that color.
Yeah, that mouth is huge, big square blooping mouth.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of Arashi baits, but they did a really good job with the cover pop.
Yeah, what was the deal with their square bills? I had an old Arashi square bill. I forget what those were called. I don't know that I have any in here. But those big round looking square bills, and it seems like they just, like, everywhere you went, they were on clearance. Like, I don't know if they got rid of them, but I had good luck on them. Like,
I actually liked their Arashi 5 flat side. It was pretty good. But I never had luck on the round square bills. And just being straight up, their deep crank, there's a reason they're in clearance. And, I'm a big crankbait guy. Their one that dived 20 was lucky to make 12 foot. It was really bad when somebody that was like a Storm Pro Staff guy told me, and I'm selling tackle, and I was like, man, should I order these? And he goes, don't. And I go, really? He's like, if you do, they'll sit on the shelves. Well, the store I was working for, I said, oh, no, we'll order some anyway. And they ordered a bunch. And I'm pretty sure they're still sitting in their clearance bin.
That's strange. Yeah, because I had a couple. I don't know, maybe it was just the day, but I fished them a couple of times, and they did work. I found a couple old ones here. I found my bait box. This is just like all extra stuff thrown around, but so there you're talking about that old man's baby 1-.
Ooh. Yeah, that guy's seen a few in his day.
He's seen better days. And then this one, I have no clue what it is, but it's like a torpedo head and torpedo. And I know this was another old one that Dad gave me. I never fished it. I fished it, but I never caught anything on it.
That looks good, though.
I don't know what it is. It doesn't say anything on it. I looked, but no, it's cool.
Owen asked, do you use horny toads much? Any tips for fishing them? I like them. In fact, the stream I did last week, I actually talk about horny toads and stuff like that. So if you want some more good bait information, go on that one. Let's see. Do you use braid with walking baits in Florida around grass? Actually, that's one benefit of using braid is around grass, but you can get your bait free a lot easier. Or a lot of people don't think about this. When a bass comes up and grabs your bait, especially if you're fishing grass in Florida, Gunnersville, places like that, and they go down, they're going in grass. Here's a good tip for you. This is what Kelly Jordan told me. He said it's actually easier to land them. Braid can pull free from the grass, but your chances of landing a fish, if you can get them, they go in the grass. Sometimes they bury themselves up, and a lot of people are like really pulling on, yanking on, trying to get them out of the grass, and they lose the fish. He said, if you're in a boat, this is different. If they're in a boat, just hold your rod tip up and let them swim to the grass, and they'll get stuck there. And a lot of times they can't swim. He said, but you want that braid because you can cut through that grass. So yes, I would use it in Florida.
We had a few people saying this is the Hellraiser. I didn't know that's what it was.
Dude, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's cool. Neat. I kind of want to get it out and throw it now.
Swim bait on a prairie. Oh, that's a good name. Line for a buzz bait. Man, I'm either throwing my braid. Put this out here for Topwater guys. I use 65-pound braid, whether it's a popper, a walking bait, a frog, a buzz bait. I don't have to buy a bunch of different braid. 65 pound. Now I know some guys use lighter, and that's fine, but it's just easy for me. The thing is that diameter 65 pounds is like 17 or 20 pound mono, so you're not really hurting anything. Let's see. I got one here. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. My buddy Darius sent me this, and I didn't have one. This is a Norman top dollar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's really weird. So look how flat. It's like a flat side crankbait, but it's got this big popping mouth, and it'll kind of do a little bit of twitching and a little bit of popping, but it's a really flat sided popper. Pretty cool bait. Don't see these very often either. Definitely a shad imitator. We gotta answer some more questions. People are blowing us up with questions. Jim, I have not used the Guggen Squad revolver. Bass Pro Shops actually made a very similar bait to the revolver a few years ago. Now, I also didn't throw that one, so I can't tell you if it was good or not. But I'm not sure I like the idea with the plopper being in the middle or the front. I do feel that could really get it hung on grass. I haven't thrown it, and I'm not here to bash the Guggen Squad or the baits or anything. I'm pretty open-minded. I do like that they're trying to experiment and make a new thing. So we'll see. Oh my gosh. Bayou Burner says, my neighbor just came by and showed me a new, really got an immaculate condition Chronarch 201 E7. If it wasn't a lefty, I'd try to buy it. Dude, the Corrado Chronarch E series, that's the gold standard, man. Yeah, I mean, I throw Debos, but those old E's were really good reels. All right, dude, we've been on for an hour and a half. We got to wrap this thing up, man. I know you could probably keep going. You got to get some sleep. So, let's see. Do you think the Cicada hatch will get the topwater action going this year? I think it will. I sure do. And Robin Allen asks, have you ever used a head and crazy crawler?
No.
It's kind of like that wing bait kind of deal.
No, I got a Jackal Pompadour Jr. from a subscriber. That's the only winged bait type thing.
Those are great baits, except they cast really crazy.
I don't remember. I seem to remember it being pretty heavy, and it casted okay. I didn't catch anything on it. I want to. It looks cool. Haven't.
Don't bash me, but I use Fireline. I'm not gonna bash no one over some Fireline. I've used it before. Actually, really good for crappie fishing. All right, we're here. Give me your ideal setup. Whether you're going to throw a topwater bait, a recommendation rod, reel. Surprised nobody's asked that. I know what I like. I like about a 6'6" to 6'8" medium to meat. It's weird. I like a medium heavy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, mag medium.
Yeah. I want something with a little backbone and some tip, but I don't want a noodle, but I need to have almost kind of like a stiff cranking rod. Does that sound right?
Yep.
And dude, the one I use most is like 30 years old. It's an All-Star Zero topwater rod, and it just works. It's ugly, so ugly. It ain't probably worth $10, but man. That's the cool thing about topwater. You don't need an
expensive rod for topwater.
You don't. I mean, if I got in a pinch and needed a topwater rod, I go to Walmart and I'm sure in the $30, $40 range I could find something that would work good for topwater. No offense to Loomis making $300, $400 topwater rods. That's just, I'm not going that route. Is that kind of what you're going to go with?
Yeah, I would say like a 6'10" is kind of my go-to.
Yep.
It depends on like if I'm going like with a sexy dog, something bigger. I like a medium heavy, a real soft medium heavy, but not a crankbait. So it's like more of a moderate fast.
Right.
And that's the nice thing about a lot of the cheaper rods is they'll call it a fast, but it's kind of noodly. Yes. So it's more like that moderate fast anyway. It's like I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but either a medium or a medium heavy that's like that. Same action. It just depends if I'm throwing something heavier or not. But 14-pound mono is usually my go-to. Unless I'm around more stuff, then I usually go 17-pound mono. Trilene XL, red box, crystal clear blue. So I know exactly what it is when I look at it because it doesn't look like my regular fluoro.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're like 1,000 miles apart, but we're seeing the same deal, man. 14-pound mono. And I'm surprised someone didn't ask me when braid or when mono. Honestly, it's just a laziness thing. If I've already got mono tied on there, I just keep it on. But back when Kentucky Lake had a lot of grass, I went with braid a lot more. And if I'm around bigger fish, man, I'm not saying they're going to... Dude, it takes a pretty big fish to break 14-pound mono. But that braid, if you got heavier treble hooks, it'll sink those in a little bit easier. Especially on walking baits. Poppers, I tend to go more mono and lighter on the lighter. I will go up to like a 7.3 medium heavy for some walking baits, especially a buzz bait. Buzz bait, I definitely like a longer rod.
Yep.
Let's see. I think that's all the questions we got. Everyone loves the rods. Someone's mentioning Phoenix. Have you ever used a Phoenix rod?
I hadn't until I got the M1, the swim bait rod, and I've used it. I still suck at big swim baits, but I got like the big swim bait deal. It's sweet. I like it. Like, it's a very different like butt to it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's very nice.
Phoenix makes some really good stuff, man. They make a rod called a Feather. It's only like $130, man. It's super light. But when you were talking about the action, these actions in California are totally different than the Midwest and especially the South where I live. Their heavy is like a medium heavy here. And they explain it because they fish so much deeper and clearer water. They've downsized and whatnot, and their heavy actions are more parabolic and stuff. So, but their swim bait rods, they're not like that. They're nice and stiff. They're what you need.
Yeah, it's a stiff rod. It's very nice. See, I thought when you were going to hold it up earlier, I got one of these on Facebook Marketplace. I actually found basically mint condition Corrado D.
Dude, that used to be my
the old school
favorite.
Found in Japan.
So I had that reel on a Dobyns 744, and man, that was my favorite worm combo at one time. Just no, actually, I had that on a Kistler 7-foot medium heavy, and that was my go-to shaky head deal. The old Corrado DS, dude, 14-pound fluorocarbon and shaky head, dude. I could fling that thing out there forever and just so sensitive.
I think the D's were still the one where it wasn't attached, right? Oh no, I think this was the first one where they did attach it. Was the D, the side plate? I was thinking it was the E.
Well, Debo, we've been on here an hour and a half. You got a family,
all right, brother.
So do I. And guys, I'm gonna jump off here. I already actually did my thumbnail ahead of time. That usually don't happen, but I'm gonna go back. I'll link some of me and Debo's favorite topwaters we talked about tonight. I'll link some line. Debo, what kind of rod you want me to link in that description for you?
Oh, dude, I'll leave it to your judgment. We were pretty much on the same thing. Whatever you put, I'd back it.
How about that new Halo? You like it?
The
HFX?
the $150 one. Yeah, I haven't got to use it, man. I got the XD3 and the whatever the green one is. I got those when they were on sale. They're sweet rods. I haven't caught anything on them yet.
They've really stepped up their
wall,
game. I'll tell you what we got to do. I see you got the Do It Molds hat. I'm going to try to live stream myself making some jigs next Saturday. So I'm going to take the door off the bait room so I'm ventilated and clear this off. And I'm going to it'll be my first attempt at making some jigs, and I'll send you some. I mean, they're not going to have a weed guard. I'm just warning you out. I had a special reason for that, but we're going to do some do it. We're going to do it live here on the Baitman channel. So I'm going to need you in the chat or close to IG DM so I don't mess up.
I'll try to be there. There's people that are way better at that than me, though, but I will certainly be there. That sounds fun. That's what I tried to do tonight. Tip for you: don't go to your computer and do like the pre-scheduled and then think that you can bring it up on your phone. I couldn't get it to work out there.
Dude,
so
that's been happening to me. It's been happening to me. Like I pre-schedule and I try to go live and it's not working. And people
couldn't get it to work on my phone.
It won't pull up on my phone, and people are like, "Why'd you restart the stream? It was working." I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't see it on my deal, but
yeah, I couldn't get it to work." So I'll be there. That sounds fun.
Makes me feel good that I'm not the only one who is having that issue. But Debo, man, I appreciate you. Guys, also go watch. I watched it this morning. Go watch Debo tour the Do It Molds facility. Man, he does an amazing job. And I'm just now getting into this, and I'm already like, okay, I want those hooks, and I'm gonna try to do this thing. But let's see if I can pour a ball head jig first, and I'll pour a bunch of them in different sizes, and we'll give them away. And if I might have to go buy some skirts and stuff. So
you can, dude, for sure. You definitely will be able to.
But Debo, thank you so much, man, for coming on. It's a pleasure. And go follow him on Instagram and Debo's Fishing Lures, where Debo puts up his custom pan lures. Dude, he's killing it. He's doing an amazing job.
Thank you, man. I'm trying.
But all right, man, I'll let you get with your family. You have a good evening. Chat, thank you so much. Be sure to like, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button, and if not, no